Welcome, guys. This is episode 2 of the Tumbles and Turns podcast. We have our very first guest on the podcast.
He's standing tall at a commanding 6 feet and 4 inches. Coming out of Bloberg, South Africa, he is a household name in the Western Cape.
A proven force in the water, a corner Zone 4 champion, taking multiple medals, a national medalist at the South African Open Water Championships, and a top 5 finisher nationally in a punishing 7.5 kilometer at Marina Montanique.
On a provincial stage, he has stacked up several medal finishes at Western Cape Champs and earned countless accolades and has cemented himself in the history of Cape Town swimming.
But he is not just a swimmer. He's a triathlete too, competing at the Africa Triathlon Junior Cup and the RSA National Championships, where he delivered 2 top 10 finishes against the continent's best.
And at just 20 years old, he founded his very own club, Streamline Aquatics. Now, at only 22, he has already produced national medalists and guided multiple swimmers to the nationals, proving that he is a danger on the pool deck just as he was in the pool.
An athlete, his coach, a leader, a close friend of ours, a trailblazer at only 22 years of age.
Zac Ellis!
So, Zac, as we just heard, all your great achievements in the sport of swimming, what made you stop swimming and then go into coaching?
Well, I think out of school, I didn't know what I was going to do really. And the opportunity kind of just came. I was doing triathlon at the time, and the club that I was swimming at, one of the junior coaches was going to be pregnant and they needed to take their leave for 3 months. And I decided to step in for those 3 months. And I really enjoyed it. I really connected with the younger kids. And from there, I think it's just the vision started.
The vision just started and you...
Yeah.
That's amazing. But, like, do you ever miss the adrenaline of standing behind the blocks and, like, getting ready for that race? You see that the heat before you finishing up the race, like, well, we know you're a distance swimmer. So, is that 1,500, do you ever think of getting back? Or is that...
Well, I mean, I can remember all the pain in the 800 and the 1,500. I mean, especially the last 500 of those races was very painful. But I do miss it a lot, especially the open water racing. That's why at the start of the year I got back in the water and raced at Western Cape Champs in the 3K. But there's being a coach now, and my brother always says it to me. You can see it. You don't eat during the day of the gala because you're so nervous for your swimmers. So I think it's just a different type of almost stress.
But it's different stress, but
yeah,
it's still stress.
Do you feel more of a reward now as a coach, having your swimmers, like, let's say, like at a nationals where we saw one of your swimmers medal in the 100 backstroke? Did you feel more of a achievement seeing that be achieved, or was it more of an achievement when you achieved like a medal at a national level? Like, what feels more rewarding to you?
I think definitely from the perspective of me coaching, and you putting in all those hours, all those mornings, all those afternoons, the dry land, the swimming, just putting in all that work as a coach and getting your swimmer to the place of medaling or even making finals or even just PBing and just seeing those results and how happy they are when they come out the water. I think that's got to take the top spot. Yeah.
Okay. No, because I've always wondered, because like you're 22 and you literally like just a few years older than them, and how does that? Do you think that helps you compared to the bit of the older coaches that coaching swimmers? Like these swimmers, that your swimmers think that you were just in their shoes, so it's easier for you to get through to them.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think if I look at my squads at the moment, a lot of them come from the same school that I was in. So I'm still...
Alcana.
Yeah, Alcana.
Don't worry.
I still coach the juniors at Alcana in summer.
Okay.
So I know exactly what's going on in the schools. I'll go watch their games, and I think that's one of the huge things. Like the water polo, when I'm done with coaching on a Friday and they have their late games, I'll go watch their games, and I think they really appreciate that. And especially being so young, I'm on TikTok, I'm on social media. I'm up with all that stuff, so I know exactly what's going on, and I think it's quite easy to then talk to them about that stuff. So it's not just swimming.
And it's easier to, let's say, relate to them to their pain and what they're
Yeah,
feeling in the
exactly.
set and stuff, because you were
Yeah.
there just a few years ago.
Yeah, it's especially when they bring out all those memes and those new trends, and then they're just saying it the whole time, so you can kind of understand where it comes from, and they're not just blurting the stuff out.
Is there a meme or two that you like more, or your top meme, or?
No, well, I mean, sometimes when we're doing pace sets, and someone does, let's say, for example, a 36-7, and then you have Michael Trower going 6-7, 6-7. It definitely.
You get a good laugh there.
You get a good laugh. You get a little bit frustrated at times, but you get used to it.
You got to cope with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I can just imagine.
Yeah.
And Zach, so you being so young and everything. So you said it makes it easier for you to connect with the younger swimmers. Do you find a certain age group is where you find your strength at the moment? Like, is there anywhere like specific that you would say your focus is for the current season and everything?
Well, I think I can relate generally all around, but especially being a boy, it's quite easy with those teens to understand where they're coming from, with all the energy that they have and everything like that. But growing up, I was in a squad with a big amount of girls, so I can understand on both sides how each of them works, and how the boys can be a little bit disruptive and the girls are always focused on what the next goal is.
Okay. And I was asking, so since you're such a young coach, do the older coaches treat you differently as, like, let's say more of as a swimmer still, like let's say your old coaches, do they still treat you as a swimmer, or do they treat you with respect as a coach?
Well, I think as a new coach, you always got to prove yourself almost coming into the game, and you got to show that you can do it. And I think I'm slowly starting to rack up results where everyone's starting to look at me and say, okay, well,
Zach knows what he's doing.
Knows what he's doing, yeah. And it makes it a bit easier that, I mean, I was under the guidance, I was coached by Bianca for so many years, and she brought through so many big swimmers, big results. Everyone knows her in the swimming community, and I think it's just a bit easier because I can use some of her philosophies that have helped me had success in the last 2 years.
Okay. And what is the funniest moment you've had on pool deck as a coach so far? It can be at training, or it can be at a gala, something that happened.
Gym even as well.
Yeah, at dryland even.
Well, I mean, looking back, we've made a TikTok account, and there's a lot of stuff on there that sometimes you just go scroll through from the last year and you think, geez, it's quite funny what's going on here. But I think definitely there's some highlights that have come through in the last year. I had Elijah. He made a deal with me that if he would go a certain time on his second breaststroke at the next gala, if he didn't go that time, he's going to shave his head. And he didn't end up going that time, so he had to shave his head. I mean, that's all documented on Streamline Aquatics TikTok. So
guys, go check it out.
Yeah,
check it out.
We'll tag it
it's
below.
quite funny some of the things that have gone on at training.
And Josh Daniels, he also shaved his head. What was the reason for his? Was it?
Yeah, Josh Daniels he had to go a certain time, an outrageous time. I don't know what he was thinking. He brought the deal to me.
Terrible.
Of course.
And then he also didn't hit his 25 freestyle time. It was something ridiculous. I don't know. Yeah, he had to go under 11.5 or something like that, and his PB before that was I think 12.3 or something like that. So I mean, we already know dropping nearly a second at a 25 is not very easy to do.
That's difficult.
So he also got his head shaved, and Liam shaved his head in the bathroom at Virgin Active. So yeah, that was quite fun.
And with you being friends with your club, your swimmers and stuff, do you think coaches need to spend a bit more time outside of the pool with their swimmers, as you do? Like, let's say you guys go rock climbing, or you guys watch, let's say, the rugby at someone's place, or the F1 even.
Yeah.
Do you think that helps coaches build more of a team bonding between the coach and the swimmers?
Yeah, I think it's also like good to do team building, stuff like that. Like you said, the rock climbing now, like every now and then, instead of gymming after swimming, you take them to the rock climbing, and then it's just it's still you're doing exercise, you're doing your gym work essentially, but in a different form of gym work, and then everyone's just having fun, having a laugh. So it just takes your mind off the swimming and the training a bit by doing something different. Okay. Yeah.
What's one piece of advice you would have given your younger swimming self, like back in the day when you were training under Bianca and everything? Like, what would be something you would have said to you if you had to go back and say something?
Well, I think looking back at that time, I was a very hard trainer. I used to love to train hard, and especially when you have such strong squads and you have 3 lanes and you start basically in lane 1, you just want to get to the front of lane 1, then lane 2, then lane and then front of lane 2 and then lane 3. And I think for a couple of months that was just my goal every single day, was to just grind and get next person in front of next person until I was eventually in almost the golden lane 3, where all the fastest swimmers were. I mean, that's always the goal. And I think sometimes I just took it a bit too hard. I trained too hard on the easy sessions, and I might have left a few percentages on the table when it comes to performance-wise, just training too hard. But I don't think I regret it, because I just enjoyed training hard and getting there, and eventually getting into that 3rd lane and training with like the proper strong swimmers. You just are training hard every single day. I mean,
no, because I know the feeling of training hard and just pushing yourself. Did you ever, like, do you think you burned out, or do you think you were like pushing but not pushing too much? You like knew where your limit was?
Well, I think I don't think I would say I ever burnt out, but people are going to find this really weird. I really, really enjoyed the long stuff and the threshold stuff, because I was good at it. I could just, I could just hold pace all day, every day. I would, and when we even did a sprint set, I mean, I was like, oh, I don't really want to do this, because I just wasn't as good at it. I could just hold. And I think that's why in the open water, when it came to the 5K, the 7.5, and the 10, I could just keep going, because I could do it at training. But I think then going into that also, I had, in grade 9, I got double lung pneumonia, and I was in ICU for 2 weeks. And I remember having a conversation with Bianca before that, because it was a month or 2 before Western Cape long course champs, and I was so like annoyed, because I would have had a good champs day, I had a great prep, and Bianca kind of just said to me, listen, this training's not going to go to waste, but you have to also remember that on the easy days, you have to let your body recover. So then on the hard days, you can actually push a bit harder. And I think what I was doing is, on those easy days, I was just pushing it a bit too far. And then on the hard days, I mean, I was still going hard, but I just obviously wasn't getting enough out of myself. And then maybe I just depleted my body a bit to the point where it just couldn't perform as much, and then it kind of gave out. And maybe that was the rest I needed. But going into those long course champs, I still took off time, even after that long race, just from the big foundation that I built up.
Okay, but no, that's good. Yeah. And with you being so tall as well, long arms, long legs, it's more of a I would say that's more of a distance swimmer's body. Would you agree to that, or?
Well, I think open water terms, when you're a bit bigger or taller, it's not the best word to use, but you can bully the.
No. Like your brother was known for that.
My Liam, I mean, when he qualified for Junior Worlds when he was in grade 9, there was a video of him coming around the one boy, and actually a guy that I used to race, Mo Adam. Liam wanted the inside lane, and he kind of went over Mo. If Mo ever sees this, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He went right over Mo to get on the inside lane. Luckily, the refs never saw him, and then he kind of got inside to get his positioning right. But yeah, open water definitely being taller and stronger, a bit bigger and a bit stronger can be an advantage if you want to move through the pack a bit easier.
Okay. And and you said you enjoyed the distance stuff. I remember watching you, because since we went to school together, I remember always hearing you competed all those open water cold swims.
Yeah.
Robben Island back in grade, when you were 12, wasn't it? You were 12 when you did it in the speedo.
Yeah.
And you got stung by like so many jellyfish, ended up in the hospital. Talk us through that experience as a 12-year-old. You're the youngest in the field, most probably out there, or that's been doing that in a speedo and everything. What was the feeling? What was the emotions?
So I had done 2 Robben Islands with a wetsuit before that, and that was my third one then without a wetsuit.
That's the age of 12.
Yeah, and that's when they still had the race. So you would have everyone would go on a ferry from Cape Town, the harbour, and then you would get put on a ferry all the way to Robben Island, and then there were some big names in the race there when I was 12. I mean, Nico Manasukis, he's a big name in the open water sport. He was in that race, and Rudolf Visser, he'd also qualified for Junior Worlds. He's also a big name in the sport, and I went up against those guys. Being a 12-year-old, I didn't know what to expect. So we got to the Robben Island. We put our Vaseline on. You know how you do extra Vaseline as an just almost as an extra layer because
all over.
I just had
on your feet everywhere.
Everywhere because I just had a speedo on. And then we dived in there. I got on the feet of Rudolph and Nico for a little bit. As we got out as we got out Robben Island, and there were all the boats waiting for us. I didn't even look for my boat. I just kept swimming. I was hoping they would come find me. My dad actually said after the race he didn't think I'd be at the front of the race, so he was looking a little bit further back. And eventually they found me, and then I kind of let the boat navigate me all the way to shore. But something interesting, the water was 10 degrees that day, and obviously, yeah. I mean, for Big Bay, that's all. Big Bay, it's like 8 to 12 degrees. That's kind of what you're looking at. Yeah. But funny enough, I never felt cold once that entire race. I don't know if it was because all the Vaseline I put even on my back, and then it was just the sun was on my back, and then I had a nice protective coat. I mean, I remember Rebecca Meader asked me once, "Were you not cold?" And I said, "No, it was actually quite warm." And she couldn't believe it. But anyway, I don't think you were lying. Yeah, I was moving along nicely. I was in third place, and we got about a kilometer out. So if anyone knows Big Bay, there's a far island. We're just a bit further out there, and I just swam into I don't know if you call it a pod of jellyfish and blue bottles. Oh no! And they kind of just wrapped around me, and I could feel it, and then my dad was a little bit in front of us on the boat, and I shouted to him, like, jellyfish, jellyfish. And then the boat swung around and came into my dad. Actually had to take it off my back to peel all the jellyfish off my back and the blue bottles off my back with his hands. Yeah. But the danger was not over because there was still more in front of us. So my dad had this fishing net actually that he was giving the bottles to me for, because you can't obviously have hand-to-hand contact. And he was trying to swipe them all away to make a path for me. But I was basically crying into my goggles. But I just wanted to finish so bad that I hung in there. I finished the race. I went straight to ER. They took me to the hospital. I had to get on a drip and everything. So it was the pain was quite sore. Yeah.
But the reward was worth it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The reward of finish. I mean, even the doctor said, "Well, so when did you get stung?" I said, "No, about a kilometer out." And she said, "And you finished?" I said, "Yeah, I finished. I had to finish."
Exactly.
So, yeah, so that's pushing on. Yeah.
I think that's a great moral for any youngster watching there. It's like you faced a challenge in the race, not even in the build up to the race. Like in your training, there wasn't a challenge. The challenge came in the race. Yeah. And you're like, I'm not gonna stop.
And at the end of the race as well. At the beginning.
Yeah. So you were like you finished strong. You did what you wanted. Yeah. And then tell us about the Lighthouse crossing. That's a 10K from the Lighthouse, Mulmula to Lighthouse all the way across to Big Bay.
Yeah, so I did that when I was even younger. I think I might have been in. Yeah,
some distance from like young.
Yeah, I love those long distance swims. So that was 10.5 Ks. So you swim along the shoreline, and I did that with outer wetsuit also. But to be honest with you, that was probably an easier swim than the Robben Island swim, even though the distance is 3 Ks longer, because Robben Island, when you're swimming from the island to Big Bay, the beach, you don't, in open water swimming, that's normally marked out by boys. So obviously doing laps, you can calculate how far you are in the race. Yeah. Robben Island, you just have your dad feeding you random information that you might be a kilometer into the race, and he's saying, "No, we're 2.5 Ks in, keep going, keep going.
I'm guessing that.
Yeah, my dad,
was Nick feeding you false information?
Yeah, he liked to keep me motivated by telling me I was a kilometer or 2 kilometers in front of schedule when I was actually had only been swimming for 15 minutes. So so when you're doing the shoreline and you know those beaches, you can look over to the side and you can see, okay, I'm here. Dolphin Beach, I'm about 5 Ks out. I'm at Shipwreck, I'm about 4 Ks out. So that's the nice part about swimming on the shoreline or swimming with boys.
Also, the current was there. Did you feel the current pulling you across, or the wind? Because you know that area is known for kite surfing and stuff. So did you feel any currents or winds blowing you and pushing you towards Big Bay, or not really?
No, we swam in the morning, so it's normally, if you stay in Big Bay, there's not much wind that goes on. It's more in the afternoon. Yeah. You do now and then have a seal that will come by and visit you and give you a little jump scare. But other than that, it's quite good.
And I know there's this False Bay crossing, 33 kilometers. Are you ever planning on tackling that as you like distance so much?
Funny story, actually. A few years ago, there was a relay that I was going to be in that the storms and stuff ended up happening, so we couldn't do it. But I was going to do it as a relay at one point. But I haven't actually thought about like English Channel and that. I haven't really thought about doing any of that now, especially with the coaching. It's all like almost like I'm really really enjoying the coaching and really want my swimmers to be put into positions where they can get like big results.
And is there any of your swimmers that are thinking of doing, let's say, the Robben Island crossing or the English, maybe even going up to the English Channel one day?
I've actually had a few, because it's quite a prestigious thing to be, say, I've swam from Robben Island to Big Bay, especially in our area, because it's right there.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to do that once in your lifetime. So I've had one or two of my swimmers that have already done it and done as relays. But I know there's a few of them that have come up to me and said, I would like to do the full one. Yeah. Just to see how it feels.
Just to see how it feels.
Yeah.
And we know you do triathlons also. Will we ever see you do the Calling Cape Town, where it's the Robben Island, the Cape Town cycle tour?
And then the 3 peaks.
Because we know, for those who don't know, Zac's a very big cyclist. He's done a lot of cycle tours, and he's achieved at the top. He stayed at the front there, like he's right behind the leaders and the elites. So
what's your fastest time you've done the Cape Town?
My fastest is, I believe, 2 hours 42 minutes.
Oh,
yeah.
Speed, man.
Yeah.
Didn't you do 2 loops that year?
Yeah. So I started in the A batch. So it's the group, or I think it's it's the group right before the pros. So you start 3 minutes before the pros. And that day that I did a double loop, I actually won the at batch. So I was the first person in that was after the pros. And it was a rainy day that day, so it was quite sketchy on the descents. I was at the front, and you could hear guys behind you crashing on their bikes and hitting the deck down Chapman's Peak.
And then you have to
you just have to kind of focus. So
once you Max Verstappen in that mode, like Max Verstappen in the wet,
just getting down low and just trying to focus on not slipping out or anything like that. So yeah, once I finished that loop, actually, Liam, my brother, and my cousin, they started their loops like an hour after me. So then our plan was for me to go around, finish, have something to drink quick, and then start my second loop. It was a miserable day. So my dad was at the finish. He gave me a coat to put on so I don't get sick while I cycle. And then I caught up to Liam and Josh, and we rode the rest of the route together. So it was quite a nice like bonding little thing with us three.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean
on the road.
Yeah.
Don't fall.
Yeah. So yeah, it was some good fun.
And then, so in our first episode, we said there's 2 questions that we're going to ask every guest on the podcast. So the one is, during your swimming or your coaching career, what was your biggest tumble, your biggest setback in your journey in the sport of swimming?
Well, I think I might have like 2 smaller examples. The one was we talked about earlier in this podcast was that double lung pneumonia. It set me out of the swimming for a couple months. I remember even when I was recovered from it, the doctor said, you're not allowed to go swim for another month. And I was just totally annoyed by it.
So you went to swim for in a month.
Yeah. So anyway, but looking at that in hindsight, it was actually
a blessing.
To just rest the body a little bit, let it recover up. And then there was another example. This actually happened slightly before COVID. It was in January, and I wanted to qualify for Sanjay in the 400 free.
Sanjay or seniors?
It might have actually been youth. I'm not sure.
Back in that
day, there were so many.
It might have been youth or seniors. I think it actually might have been youth or seniors, one of those 2. And I remember the long course 400 free qualifying time was a 4:23.8. I think I was 15 or 16 at the time, and this was in Feb or Jan. It must have been Feb. And this is still, Kian, you remember these days, still swimming at Strand.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still swimming at the Strand pool where there was sand everywhere.
Yeah.
And anyway, that 400 free was just not clicking. It was not clicking. I was adding 10 seconds, and I'd be within a second, then I'd be all over the place with that 400 free. And eventually, my mom actually messaged Bianca and said, because Amy was coaching me at the time at Tigers, and she said, can you just help Zac with his mind? Because my mom thought it was just mentally I couldn't get over the line. And Bianca came in that week, that Wednesday morning, and she gave me this brutal 400 free set that she was kind of just getting pace. She wanted to just show me that I could do it in pace wise. I still remember to this day doing 200s at 400 pace. And Bianca was like, okay, we're going to hit a 208 over here and a 209 over here so that we can come through the 200 at this pace. I remember in training, I was hitting these times and I was like, geez, I can actually do this. And we're doing 100s and 50s and 200 reps at 400 pace.
Yeah.
And after this, Bianca said, look, I've shown you now you can do it. Now go do it on Friday. And I knew exactly to the 100th what split I had to hit on each 100.
And how
it felt.
Yeah. And I still remember that heat. I didn't have any faster guys with me, so I was lane 4 going into that heat, and I just kind of had to do it by myself. So at the 100, at the 200, at the 300, I was feeling good and I was feeling strong. Everything was going to plan, and the qualifying time I believe was 4:23.80. That's what I think the time was. So it's quite a fast time for 400. So and I touched the wall at the 400 and I looked at the clock and it was 4:23.6. So that was like I got that time now.
That was celebration.
I can go to the meet and I was just smiles, all happy. When I went to be Amy was like also so happy, and she showed me my splits. And you know the funny thing about like almost manifestation, when you can see it and you can believe it, and then you check the splits on paper and it's exactly what you set out to do. But then a month came by and we all know the COVID went by, and you put in all that work, you've done that qualifying time, and now it's like, okay, well, now there's no competition. There's no nationals.
We thought it would only last 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, and then it just
2 months. Then it went up until the end of June.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of a setback, like mentally, but.
So speaking on the thing of manifestation and stuff, swimming for you, I've seen it also. You're very much one of those people, you like to manifest it for your swimmers and things. Do you instill that in your swimmers also to say, think it, do, and you'll be able to do it? Like you'll say to them, like let's say there's a goal time for them, they want this. You say you gotta think, and you're gonna show them they're capable of doing it.
Yeah, a lot of the time you just have to believe in your swimmers. I mean, at major competitions, you always tell them, okay, I want you to write down your goal times and I want you to give them to me. And I think one of the recent results. Regan Smith always says this on podcasts. She's written down times and putting them on a fridge, and she's hit a world record to the exact split. And I remember I told Connor, okay, Connor, give me all your times, and let's see what can happen. And this was at Western Cape Champ Style. And Connor actually got a bit sick. He was a bit sick before the competition. So the 100 free was on day 2 or day 3, and his goal time he had on paper was a 53.96 for his 100 free, which at 14 years old, fast. And he was entered on at the start of the season on a 55.4. I was even thinking to myself, okay, this is going to be a stretch, but I'm going to believe in him and I'm going to think if we can do it. So
you'll help him get
So in the heat, he went 54.4, 54.5. So he took off half a second or just over half a second off his PB, and I thought like to myself, okay, this is already quite a good swim, and I could see already his nose was getting a bit iffy, but I didn't want to mention that too much. So I didn't want that to get into his head. So when he got on the block for the swim, you could see he was prepared, and he did his 100 free, and he went 53.97. So it's one split different, and then afterwards his mom was over the moon that
Auntie Law, we love you.
Yeah, that he won the race. But then I actually looked at my Connor's messages to see what he actually gave me, because I thought, hang on, this guy he gave me a 53 something, but I want to see the split. So he'd given me a 53.96 and he went 53.97 in the final. So I mean, you think about it, and
you manifested it to happen.
0.01. I mean that's kind of crazy.
And to do it with being a low, like having that low iffy of a nose and being like not feeling
overcoming a little bit of adversity. There also.
Because I remember I saw this video of Michael Phelps, of Coach Bob Bowman, Michael Phelps' coach, speaking about one of Michael Phelps' session or his training sessions, and he did a 100 breaststroke, and then he touched and he told and then him and his coach just started speaking, and he said, "Oh, coach, I had a dream last night of where I touched the wall and I went 3 minutes."
I remember that, yeah.
And then Coach Bobman's like, "What do you mean? There's no event that's 300 meters."
Yeah.
So
you can go
that split,
that
I
split.
think it was later that year. It was the Olympics. I don't know which Olympics it was, but it was the Olympics. And then on his 400 IM, he touched
the breaststroke,
the breaststroke with 3 minutes.
And
Coach
split.
Bob Bowman was like,
he couldn't believe, like he manifested that.
This guy manifested 3 minutes for the 100 after the 100 breaststroke.
I mean, there's so many examples of that. When you even look at Conor McGregor, he likes to advocate that quite a lot.
Yeah.
If you can think it and you can have the courage to speak it, it will happen.
Yeah.
Even when he knocked out Jose Aldo in the call room, he was doing the exact movement that he was going to do to knock him out. So I think it's manifestations much more powerful than anyone thinks. And if you can just think it,
Visualize.
put in the hard work, visualize it, it can happen. So
you what you're saying, Nelly, is like train how you want to race it. Like you got to train to the level that you want to race it at.
Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
At night, think about it. Make it all you think about. I mean, I have even bought a book on that, and it's all it is. If you can think it, if you can believe it, and you can speak it, then it will happen.
Is there a book that you would like you said you bought a book? Do you think there's a book for let's say for the younger swimmers that if they want to and like to read, they could read this book and then it would probably help them?
Yeah, it's a book, but it's more of just quotes and people and doctors, like doctors that have studied this and philosophers especially. I don't remember what the book's called. I think it might be called The Law of Attraction. But that's a book that I actually got before the Grand Prix in Port Elizabeth, Quebec, at the start of the year, and I was reading that on the plane. And it just teaches you and tells you about how your mind can do wonderful things.
Okay.
So guys, go check it out if you want to. I think The Law of Attraction.
Yeah, it's somewhere along those lines. I'm not sure if that's the exact name, but
we'll find it and drop it in the bio for you guys. And then Zach, so you said you've got Conor, he's a sprinter, of course.
Yeah.
And then you've got Michael Trower, he's more on the distance side and everything. Which would you say you enjoy coaching a lot more? Do you enjoy it, or do you find it fun doing the balance of having the distance and the sprinters? Like, because each is a different race for you to coach.
Yeah, so obviously coming from a distance background, just doing distance sets, big distance, I have a lot of background, and I used to have a heart rate monitor that I would have to upload my data every day on Strava for Bianca to look at to make sure my heart rate was in check. So I'd always write down my sessions on Strava. I mean, I got 2, 3, 4 years of Strava just sessions that have just been written out that I can always go look back and refer to. So the distance swimming, I love coaching that because I understand it.
Yeah.
But now especially with this whole new sprint revolution and everything that's come through in the last 2 years and all the information online, Sonny Trigg and everyone just advertising sprinting. It's been wonderful to coach the sprinting because you kind of now you can look at all these guys and what they are doing and
it works.
Copy them and change it to how you like it and add a little bit of this and take a little bit of that away. So it just makes, because I obviously didn't have a lot of information and experience in sprinting, but now after all of this, you can kind of like work out how you want to do your own sprinting set. So at training now, often a couple times a week, I'll run in the one lane. It will be the sprinters, and the one lane will be the distance swimmers in the senior group. And it's quite nice because at the moment it's almost split half. So you're not having a lane that's overcrowded and the lane that's undercrowded. You actually kind of have half running there, and you can run one stopwatch and then another stopwatch on the other one. So it's quite nice to run the two different sessions. And then also just with results wise, because some kids just can't handle the volume. And I think that's a big thing. They just can't do it, and then they end up quitting. And there's some kids that they have to do the volume because that's what they're strong at. So it's nice to just advocate and give out what they are strong at, so they can just improve even more regardless. So it's just great to see the progress.
Identifying their strength and telling them, no, you're not going to be a 50 or 100 specialist. This little one, he's not. You are the distance. You'll swim the 10K.
I mean,
we know who we're talking about.
You can see pretty early on, I mean, what distance they are going to do. And obviously when they're still young, I mean, under 16, you want to do both of you want to do sprint stuff with them, you want to do distance stuff with them, so they can just swim all the races. But when they start getting a bit older, it's nice to give them a set that they're good at, that they can improve on, and that will just help them in their events that they want to do when they're a bit older. So obviously when they're younger, you still want to give them everything. But when they start getting a bit older, you can give them a little bit of freedom. I mean, Josh Emsley comes to the gym every 3 or 4 weeks, and we know he's a 50 fly national champ this year. And it's quite interesting talking to him. He's a very friendly guy, and he'll sometimes come join our sessions, or he'll sometimes come in the next lane to us. And he's got this whole setup with his parachutes and his resistance cords, and it's quite nice to see what he does, how he'll be in and out the water. He'll do 30 to 45 minutes where he's doing just efforts. practicing his breakouts with high load, and he's not doing like monster volume, but he's there, he's doing a few sprints and then he's out. Yeah, just power work, speed work, because obviously he's doing the 50 fly, and he wants to do well in that 50 fly, especially with the 50s coming to the Olympics. I mean, it's a big opportunity now.
Exactly. It's so much nice to see them bringing in the 50s as well. To see a bit more of people rather training for a 50, so we'll see more proper sprinting at the Olympics than just the 50 freestyle.
I mean, for example, I coach Christian, as we know from the previous podcast, and Christian started a year ago with me, and
I'm so mad about that.
if you look at like masters swimming, if they start a bit later, especially in the triathlon world, I know because I did triathlon and then I did a half Ironman, so I know all the information, the top guys that come in there. If you come into the sport very late for swimming, it is very hard to get to the top level, especially if you want to do distance stuff. So a lot of these pro triathletes, the level of swimming, if they've come into sport a bit later, is quite low, because it's just so many years that go into being able to swim these high volumes. So
develop a distance swimmer.
Yeah, exactly. So for Christian, if you said to me last year, okay, this guy's gonna be able to do the stuff that he does now, I would say, okay, no, it's not gonna happen, because the information is proven. But what Christian has done now, at the start last year he was struggling in the sets, so he would kind of just do 50s instead of 100s, and eventually up the volume. But one thing that he's always been good at from the start is he's been able to sprint very well. So I'm not going to say to him now, because he's a good sprinter, that he must go do the volume sets, the high distance sets. So we kind of just been working at that sprint stuff, and letting the 200 and letting the 100, his backends get better and better as a result of just his training and hours in the sport. But his 53 was the first one that really impressed me. I mean, within 3 or 4 months of doing galas, his first month to like 3 or 4 months later, he was 26-1 on his 50 freestyle. And if you ask me, in 4 months, if you can get a guy to 26-1 that has never done squad swimming, then it's like it's just crazy how quick someone can improve.
And so my dad gave me this idea the other day, a challenge between the two of us.
So you're gonna write my coaching?
We're getting your coaching. We're getting your coaches. Who he thinks will win. So my dad gave me this challenge. So I can't do breaststroke, and this guy can't do fly. So instead of doing like a 50 or 100, he said we must do a 200. I do 200 breast, he does 200 fly, and then we see who wins. What do you think about that?
Well, I think Christian with his butterfly, we've got our freestyle going now, and the breaststroke's even going now. The backstroke's still a bit iffy. Christian doesn't like to swim sometimes likes to pull on the lane rope. I mean,
that lane rope and our best friends.
I have seen him pull on the lane ropes quite a few times. But the butterfly, I think it's still a work in progress. I don't know how we're going to be able to get through the 200 fly.
Because you see my breaststroke, so
I mean,
it's a good matchup.
I mean, even like. It might be a good matchup, maybe at the 100 to start off with. I don't know if the 200 might be a bit of a push for Christian at the moment. But like even like at last year when Christian had to get his 200 IM times, the butterfly and the backstroke, it wasn't going great, and then he would gain some steam towards the end. But then again, as we're saying, he's developing his back end, so he was a bit pumped by the time he got there. But that's a work in progress.
And Zach, so I don't know, you saw last week's episode. I said I'd rather swim a 400 breast. Do you think we should do that at a gala where I do a 400 breast? Like,
maybe one of the smaller galas. You hop in for because Christian also did one at Oatson last year, did a 400 freestyle. So your entry time won't be.
We could try and beat that entry time doing breaststroke.
Entry time doing breaststroke.
All the 12-years
Exactly.
And then doing breaststroke with them.
Yeah.
If you lose, I'll laugh at you. If you win, I'll be proud of you. So we've the question a bit further back was, what was your biggest setback? What was your biggest comeback? Your biggest turn in your swimming / coaching journey to, let's say, from like you said, your double lung was in pneumonia.
Yeah, double lung pneumonia.
Pneumonia, and then COVID as well. Do you think there was a comeback afterwards, or like?
Well, I think what was quite interesting to me is when I started doing triathlon, I was still doing a little bit of swimming, and I'll do the open water events. I'll give you quite an interesting story. So I was doing triathlon at the time, and I was swim, biking, running, doing a lot of like just volume on the bike because I really enjoyed the biking. But then Liam, my brother, needed to qualify in the 10K. And because I don't know if Ken, I don't think you're in this race, but Luan was in this race. I'll tell you about it. It was Tiger.
The 10K combined?
It was Tigers hosted the at the Apple Farm in Cobo. They hosted an open water swim, and Liam needed his 10K time. And I don't think there wasn't anyone else in the field that was doing the 10K. Luan was actually doing the 7.5, and that day it was just miserable conditions. And I said to Liam, okay, Liam, I'll pace you for the first 5. I'm not going to do more than 5, but I'll get in and do the 5. And what was interesting to me is in that field, I still remember Keegan was there, Troy was there, Troy McWilliam, Ben, Anthony Clayton was in the field. So it was quite a strong group of boys. And Liam and I's goal plan was, okay, I'm going to pace you out. Do not touch the wind. Do not touch the front of the race until I'm done with my work. So we got into the race, and there was a massive headwind on the way out, and I went straight to the front, and it was me and Keegan that were taking turns at the front for the first few Ks, and then we got around, and Keegan broke himself away because he was also obviously racing the 5. But I just kept to my pace, and then once I finished, I was like, okay, I'm actually quite surprised with how I've done, because I haven't done as much swimming, but I'm up there with the top guys. So anyway, I will go on to what Liam and Luan had their own little party, because those two were doing. Luan was doing the 7.5. He needed the qualifying time, and Liam was doing the 10. And these conditions were atrocious. And I remember Liam coming through the feed because I fed him on the next lap. And Luan came into the feed, and I think Dia was actually feeding him. And Luan came in. Luan came in for a quick feed. Liam was taking a jar and everything. And Luan, there's actually a video out there. I could probably bring it up. Luan says, "Come on, Liam, let's go!" And then Luan still had 1 lap left. Liam still had another 2 laps. And I remember Liam when Liam finished that race, and he came to say, "I don't know, Luan, this guy. I don't know. He didn't know that I had 2 laps left." And then Liam wanted Luan to qualify also, so I think Liam gave Luan a big pull because Luan is really in the hurt locker with a K to go, and Liam was shouting at Luan to just stay on his feet. So those two were working nicely together. Luan got the qualifying time, and then Liam still had another lap to go. And I remember watching him on the way out, and it was 800 meters, just this wind coming into your head. And Liam turned around, and I could see he was doing backstroke, and I could see he didn't want to be there because it was just like, as soon as you get to the top, it's fine, but you have to get there first.
Was he by himself?
Yeah, he was by himself. He was the only one that did the 10 that day to get the qualifying time. And then once he got around, he finished, and I mean, he was so happy. He said that was probably the worst 10K experience he's ever had before. But I think him and Luan had a good piece of bonding there, trying to get through that race together.
Two curly blondes.
Yeah.
But that's great to because I'm guessing you've coached your brother. That was your coach, your brother.
Yeah, it's a different different experience coaching your sibling or someone you know really close. I remember Liam will testify about this. Whenever we had a big Saturday morning, I remember the one day it was 8Ks that I needed him to get through. And at the time, there weren't a lot of training partners that he could do this big volume with. And whenever I used to make Liam breakfast in the morning before he went, then he knew, okay, it's going to be a hard day. And he would do a lot of swearing in the bed at me to say why. But I would get him up in the morning, and I'd give him a breakfast, and then we would go. I'd take him to the pool, and sometimes he could get really pissed off with me, and he could start throwing his hands at me and everything like that. But I think he knew it was all from a loving place, all for him to get through this 10K, because 10K is obviously a different beast.
I personally have never tried it. I stopped at 7.5 kilometers.
Yeah.
But a few shoulder problems. So open water is not the...
Once you get past that 7.5, it really, no matter how much training you do, it really starts to hurt. It hurts. Yeah. Especially that's why you got to get in your nutrition. You got to get in your feeding.
So are you a big one on saying nutrition is key for athletes who want to compete at those longer distance open water events? Like, do you push it with your athletes now?
Even just normal, but at that high level,
like national levels and stuff.
I mean, even as it goes down to from training level, when you got those hour and a half, 2 hour sessions, when you got to bring your drink. I mean, sometimes even if you're doing a big set, maybe you have a bar in your bag that you can just quickly eat. Because if you learn it when you're training, you'll be able to apply it when you're racing, especially the longer stuff. but it comes down to drinking in training, because you're obviously sweating so much and you don't know it because you're obviously in the water. Just getting in your nutrition at training so you can do it at the bigger events, and obviously also consuming it and getting your body used to consuming that stuff. So when you get to an open water race and you need to feed at the 5K, the 6K, the 7K, you're able to get a gel down, you're able to get a nice amount of juice down. I remember we used to race a guy named Reino van Willig, and he used to put gels in his costume, and you'd be racing with this guy, and then eventually he would stop on his back, take out a gel and just take it. But you look at him like, why the hell is this guy doing mid-race? He could have done this at the feet, but he's strategic. Yeah. He knows what he's doing. He's a veteran at the game.
And he knows where he needs
to exactly. He knows, he's obviously timed it.
Is there a certain, like, nutritional brand that you like, let's say for a carb, let's say a carb drink, is there a specific one that you would prefer, or is it?
No, well, what I used to have.
Used a lot?
Yeah, what I used to do was, it was really basic, and I learned this from Dylan and the Meaders and all of them. They used to have this. It's just simple game. Game. So what I used to do is, so when you go into the open water race, you obviously want to get as much carb and as much all the sugars and all that stuff in. You put in game, your 2 scoops. You don't want to make it too sugary, because then it'll get more thirsty, and especially Marina Martinique. I mean, Ken, you would know how salty that is. You get your game. You don't want to cramp, so you put a little bit of rehydrates in there. And then sometimes, like with the second or third bottle, you'd have that same concoction, and then you just take a hammer gel goo, or a hammer gel goo, because it's not thick. Like sometimes the goo, the chocolate flavor is quite thick. You get like orange flavor or something. You just put that in, shake it up, and then
because the nice thing is you get like an orange flavored game. So it's not like it's changing the flavor.
So and then also you don't have to waste time on opening a goo and put it in your mouth. You just have the goo in there, and you try to get as much in your mouth as possible. That's diluted into the game.
Okay. It's good to know, because I know there's a few swimmers, like I've tried many things. I've tried game, Biogen. I've tried cranberry juice. It's like just normal juices that you mix up with other stuff at training and at racing. And sorry, and I just referred to Biogen as my supported brand.
Yeah. Well, I mean. Yeah. I know Carly Antonomoulos, she likes to take a beetroot. She likes to take a beetroot juice before she raced from Woolworths. I always remember seeing her. Oh, she would just have like a big beetroot, and she would just start chugging on that to help her with the oxygen and the blood flow and all that stuff. And then an interesting thing. I was hoping you'd bring this up. Mr. Michael Trower likes to do his research on ChatGPT, and he'll come to training 20 to 25 minutes earlier than gym even or dryland starts. And he decided that he's going to take some bicarb, baking soda, and he was on ChatGPT getting his own concoctions ready. And this was before his first 200 fly. And I knew Bob has got a very nice butterfly stroke, and he can hold his stroke. So the 200 fly would be the race for him. So I entered him in the 200 fly, and then he said, okay, first time I'm going to use my baking soda is before this 200 fly. So he took his 18 or 24 grams or whatever it is, an hour before he planned it out. We did it to the exact hour before he raced.
It was very scientific this day.
And one thing that guys, baking soda, if you have so much, it's very acidic.
In your tummy, it can really hurt your tummy, but it didn't really seem to bother him. I mean, for a 5-minute period, he was sitting like this, clenching his tummy, and his tummy's all bloated. But I was a bit worried, and I even said to his mom, Leanne, I don't know what's going to go down here, because he's had quite a bit of baking soda. And she said, oh gosh, Michael. And then he raced, and then he did a very good 200 fly, and he was splits were holding, because obviously, Karen, you did a 200 fly at the last goal. You know what happens in the last 50 of your 200 fly.
Fast for the last 100 of that.
Last 100, when the body shuts down, it shuts down. But Bob just seemed to keep going. He holds splits. His last like 10 meters were, he was hoping that wall would come. But he said after the race, that first 100 felt so easy. The second 100 felt like the first 100 would normally feel. He said it felt amazing. So now he's adopted that method at big competitions. He takes his bicarb.
He made it into pulls form.
Yeah, he's got a pull machine now that he's going to start taking it so it doesn't hurt his stomach. And I think he might start selling it to the community. So maybe watch out for that from Michael.
There we go. But I remember that 200 fly. Didn't he make a bet with? He made a bet with your Luan, right? His brother.
Yeah.
He made a bet.
It might have been a bet on a 50 breaststroke, because Bob's entry time on the 50 breast was 39, and then he went out of nowhere. He went a 34.9, and Luan said he wouldn't go under 35. And we put in, and then Bob was harassing Luan the whole time about he needs to do the dare. I don't even remember what the dare was, but eventually it turned into Luan.
Gritty on the block.
Yeah, it turned into Luan gritting on the block at short course champs. That's what Luan had to do.
I wish there was a video of that. Do we know if someone took a video?
I don't think anyone actually took a video.
I think he did it very sneakily, so no one would video him.
I'd redo that at SA Short Course. Watch me.
Oh, okay, we got it.
On the 1.5.
There you
have
go.
it on video now. I'll do it. And then after SA Short Course, we do another podcast to reflect on my awesome swims. And then you put the video on of me ready. No, don't cut it out. I think that's highlights.
That's all. Yeah, we can call it.
So yeah, guys, this was episode 2. Thank you, Zac, for coming. We really appreciated it. We had so much fun. Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
we had so much fun. All the stories you've told.
It was a great hour talk.
Yeah. Thank you.
On the phone. Shooting out.